Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion today. In the woods, it is about 1,000 degrees, I'd say, but you know what? I like the heat. I'm not really too weather affected. It is hot, though. So far, no bugs. That's good. Okay, so my name is Kimberly Quinn, and I'm excited. Hear that bird symphony? They're just so good. You know, artistes. Anyway, my name is Kimberly Quinn, and I'm here to have a discussion today with you on dealing with challenging or conflicted, I fill in the blank a little bit here. I would say disagreeable, but sometimes it's more than sometimes. Often it can be, you know, good to disagree. So disagreeable is kind of a different word, but you know, challenging and with that intention of being challenging and conflictive. So they can be really tough. So there's some definite tips for this, which I've learned from my life in all different areas. Actually, I'm going to share them with you. The first one is the deep breathing thing, and I'm not being like cliche, cheesy, dum-dum, you know, like just for real, because in order to kind of stay in our frames, it can be really hard to stay in our frames when somebody's being aggressive. Okay, there's assertive, which is good. That's a confident thing. Aggressive is different. That's crossing the line, maybe stepping into our territory, emotionally, verbally speaking. Obviously physically also, but we can get yanked out of our frames because we are swept up by our limbic system, right? That's the fight or flight. And so what this person, you know, really may be violating with their words, obviously their actions too. And so we get into, you know, the amygdala's in full tilt, the threat circuit switched on, and we get yanked out of our frame. And so it's very important to get that. So in order to get that, to get back into the frame, we have, oh, fiddleheads. You can actually cut those and put them on salad and stuff. Anyway, right back into a frame. So, because if we don't do that first step, we're going to be operating from outside of our frame, which means we're going to be chasing down the approval of said conflictive, you know, possibly even toxic people. We'll just say challenging, because toxic's like the far end of that. And nothing is going to go well if we're not in our own frame, coming from this confident, authentic, this authentically confident place. So that's the number one, is breathe, remind yourself, okay, that I reside here in my authenticity. And remember, nice isn't necessarily authentic. In fact, most people say it is not. Kindness, intentional kindness is, but nice is just living outside of our frame, usually, trading some niceness for some approval. That's all ego-driven. Oh, tell me I'm okay, tell me I'm all right, tell me we're all fine. It may not be fine. It might not be fine for a while. But, you know, you'd rather be authentic in your frame and stand up than nicey nice, so that you can go home feeling like there's no conflicts. Maybe there kind of needs to be. Okay, so back in your frame is the first. And then there's something that my supervisor, my clinical supervisor, when I was therapizing down in New Jersey, taught me. And gosh, I've taken it with me and I've used it in so many different circumstances that have nothing to do with therapy, actually. God, he was worth so much with this. Nice guy, Rick from New Jersey. It's like 30 years ago, 90s, maybe even whatever it is, longer, I don't know, 90s, early 90s. And he taught me to pay attention to the dynamics. So I should say that a supervisor, if you don't know, because if you haven't been in the therapeutic, you know, clinical world, a clinical supervisor isn't there to be your boss. They're not your boss. They're not your manager. They're not any of that. They're only there to help you deal with your most difficult clients, to give you some kind of expertise. They don't handle it for you. They don't tell you what to do. They're basically a sounding board, and then they help you to learn how to navigate challenging people and situations. And so usually you'd save like your one most challenging case to bounce it off of him. So Rick taught me way back when. He said, and I had some challenging cases in that place for sure. He taught me way back when that content is still important. It's important, obviously, to actively listen. Hopefully therapists are good at that. But even more important than content, even way more important than content, is listening to hear what the dynamics are. Like, what's behind the curtain? What the content, that's all noise, and they're trying to make that support whatever it is really going on. So in therapy, sometimes it might be they're saying all these things and kind of doing some even mildly dominant behavior because they're trying to control the session. That'd be one sort of dynamic that would happen a lot. And it's really, really important to know when you're dealing with a challenging person what's really going on. It might not have a lot to do. It may or may not have to do with what they're saying. It's where the energy is. You have to pay kind of a different kind of attention to figure out what their intention is. What is their intention? And what is the dynamic? Okay. Next, super, super important not to take things personally. And the book, The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about that. And this is one of the things I live by every day. I practice it with other things. In addition to like all the other things I do, with part of my happiness lifestyle is realize that we are all of our own actors on our own stage. We are the authors of our own script. And so whatever that person is saying to that difficult, challenging, conflicted person, even if it has your name in it and they're bringing up stuff, whatever, even if some of that, it may be true, it still isn't about you. It is not about you. The high majority is about them because it's coming through their own filter, which includes their upbringing, their birth order, their mental health status, their whatever emotions they have going on, whether they got sleep last night. Like, it's going through a whole big filter of their own issues and agenda. So to not take things personally is huge for self-care, and dealing with challenging people is part of our self-care deal, because they're out there roaming around. Do we all wish that they'd go to Planet Toxic and just reside there and leave us alone? Of course we do. But that isn't how it works. Okay, and that makes me think of a story that my bestie from St. Mike's, well, I'm also friends with her brother. I remember him saying, we were at some event, graduation or something, I don't know, for one of her kids, so his nephew or niece or something. And he said, Kim, I've had so many, there's these challenging people at work, and he loves his work. He worked with, I think, special needs middle schoolers or something. I don't remember what, but he really loved it. And he said, there's just this trio, and they're just gossipy, and they're just toxic, and it looks like they're going to stay for a while. And he told me, he said, I said a prayer about it. He's like, God, help me learn how to deal with challenging people. And then he looks at me and he says, Kim, what do you think God did? Sent me more challenging people. And I just laughed my head off, so that was absolutely hysterical. Okay, the fourth one is to surrender. And I mean in a courageous way, not in a wimpy way. This is not about being defeated and like waving the white flag. It actually takes courage to let go of something we'd much rather dig our claws into. And so call it the universe, call it whatever you want, but just say, you know what? Here you go. You got it. This is just not, you don't say it to the person. It's in your head. And after you go home or you end the conversation, whatever, here you go, right? Just here you go, surrender. And then the last one, and that can take a lot, but with God, it's great. It's so good to do. And then detach, because remember we talked about attaching to something, attaching to this challenging person and feeling the need to win, even if what they did is not good, and it's just, you're feeling this need to come out on top. And I'm going to show them because it's like one last time, and they keep doing this to people, and I'm so done. The universe will take care of all that. The karma train, it's moving forward all the time. And as hard as that can be to do and really believe in, it will take care of itself. And realizing that when I attach to it, it's actually bringing you down. So when we don't attach to it, like here, it means do your best, though. Do your best. Whatever stuff has to be done to authentically take care of the situation, right? To authentically take care of the situation. And my very dear friend Father Mike used to say there can be no peace without justice. Like, it's just, so hopefully, just throw everything authentically. He also said, say what you got to say, because you always got to say what you got to say, but say it with honesty and kindness. Do all that stuff and then let it go and just let the outcome happen. That is the best way. Okay, so get back on your frame, because it can be so hard. Even though those of us who, the high majority of the time live in our frames solidly, it can be all too easy, especially if you're tired or hungry or preoccupied or whatever, to temporarily get pulled away by a toxic. Definitely you can. And then remember to dynamics. Listen to the content, but don't focus there. Like, what's the intention? What's really going on? They're saying all this, and this, and that, but what's really going on? What are they trying to accomplish here? What's the real motive? And that's what you really need to hone in on, okay? And then remember not to take it personally. And also, actually, I didn't say that before, but if they're being, totally conflictive and whatever, it doesn't give them a pass. I'm not saying that. But also remind yourself that whole and complete people just don't behave this way. It's very important to remember that. So stay in your frame. It helps with that. Then, okay, so we're not taking it personally. And then we are saying surrender doesn't mean white flag. It means This is in your head. This is bigger than me. Throw it out to the universe. Here you go. Trust in the process. Trust in the process. This is very important. Okay? Because we're all connected. The divine thing, just let it go. And then detach. And it might be somebody you care about too, so you can detach with love. The 12-step programs are all about that. You might, sometimes an example would be like, a young adult grows up in a very loving home and, good, nobody's perfect. Let's say good parents and, financially secure and all that. Develops an addiction issue. And they've helped him. What used to be called Al-Anon. I'm not sure if it still is anymore. But they would be encouraged to detach with love. You keep sending the good vibes, you keep doing this, but you don't keep giving them money. You don't keep, at certain points. That would just be like kind of an extreme example. But we're talking about authentically detaching. If you really do care about the person, send the good vibes or whatever that means for you, but step back from it. And this is being quietly effective. You're not announcing it to anybody. You're being quietly effective. I'm going very uphill here. It's like 1,000 degrees, but it's very beautiful. Okay, so that's it. This is how to deal with challenging, conflictive, and even toxic people. We'll talk about full-blown narcissism another time. This is like regular toxic people. Okay, this is Kimberly Quinn. Here's the bugs signing off from Northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.